Last night was certainly a Wrestle dream for some and a Wrestle nightmare for others. We get into all of it today. This is the Dangerous Jobbers podcast dark match review of WrestleDream. Here we go.
People have been asking me why, Eddie, why?
I'm better than you.
My eyes are red. I was in the back smoking a joint for 10 days.
It does feel good to be back. I'm your boy, Stevie Jobber.
I'm your boy, Dangerous Duke.
And welcome back to the Dangerous Jobbers podcast, putting wrestling over one podcast at a time.
Testify.
And there was too many monumental moments on WrestleDream this past Saturday to get into all of them, but we will play pass or play and get to as much as we feel like we should. Without further ado, I guess we're going to start with the 0 hour. But how are you feeling pre getting into everything?
Pre getting it at everything or post show? What do you mean?
Like coming off of all of the news from that night. What you saw,
I
what
see
you
what
didn't see.
I see what you're saying now.
Like, how are you feeling about AEW going into this week?
I'm feeling good. I think they did some great stuff. They got some they got some things that you kind of want to look forward to now, some things you kind of want to see through. Maybe one or two things you kind of don't want to see through, but for the most part, I think they got some stuff you want to see through.
I think they got a lot of good things going right now. If they capitalize, and I'm going to say this now, I did hear that, I don't know if this is rumor or truth, but I did hear that Jimmy Jacobs is signed on to the writing staff.
Ooh.
And if that is true, I am feeling even better than I was a month ago about where stories were headed in AEW. And I'm tonight. I honestly, after all of the results and really going back, and it made me feel very excited, very hopeful, very ready for the Wednesday. You know what I mean? So
yes, especially if they got Jimmy Jacobs, that'll be a good reason to stick around.
But getting into the 0 hour, we start pass or play with Brian Cage versus Atlantis Jr. Pass or play.
We are going to pass the ball.
All right. Sorry, Brian Cage, but congratulations for becoming the new TV champ. That is pretty cool to get your first title in however long that you've been there. Not a slight to you, just a nod to booking. Pass or play Anna Jay versus Harley Cameron.
You know what? We just passed the last one, and I think for the sake of, just repeating it, we're gonna pass it again.
All right, we pass on Anna Jay. Congratulations for being Harley Cameron. They got 8 minutes. Good solid time in the 0 hour. The Acclaimed. Everybody loves the Acclaimed. But I especially had a favor for the MXM collection at the 0 hour tonight as they go out with Rico to battle the Acclaimed. Pass or play?
We've been passing all 0 hour, but you know what? We're going to hit the play button.
I like this one, man. I like where we went with this. I liked Rico with MXM. Mason Mansoor, they've been on kind of an internet run, if you will. Yeah. I can't say that it's been like a rocket ship or like a heavy favored booking, but they've been at a level where they work and they're cool enough to continue momentum without getting over. And them partnering with Rico in today's day and age, what an amazing thought to go against with Billy Gunn on the other end.
Yeah, like and like you said it, they got popular. They're popular on the internet, and they're not really over in the booking standards, but that's okay because in this era of wrestling, that's how you get over. If you win the internet fans over, you're gonna win the crowd fans over, and in return, good things are gonna happen to you. And then also on top of that, where the hell did they find Rico? I mean, I'm not complaining at all. I love it. I love the pairing. It makes sense. It's perfect. And then you got the Billy Gunn history there too. It makes logical sense because they all fit and they all gel. I enjoyed it. I wouldn't mind seeing Rico as like their permanent manager.
Yeah,
And
I was just about to say that.
yeah, it was great to see. It was like, talk about a blast from the past and one that you appreciate. And then
Yeah.
when he turned around and did the "you look so good to me," I mean, it was kind of cringe, but it was like a funny kind of cringe. So it's like a kind of cringe that, you know what, this is a little weird, Rico, but you're Rico and you fit well, so we're gonna let this go.
Yeah, yeah. It was crazy. It was crazy to me because like it made so much sense, but it had never crossed my mind.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. Like I wouldn't mind this being a permanent thing. I think this went so well that they could actually start to book them well after this because Rico fitting with them and how weird and quirky they already are.
Mm-hmm.
And it could give you an even deeper Rico,
Yeah.
honestly, because now it can give you like fashion Rico that's not so kind of drowning in the spotlight of Billy Gunn and Chuck Palumbo.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of adds to the team a lot more than he did back then, even.
Yeah, he could definitely benefit that group a whole lot. Like, not to say these guys need it, but he could definitely be much more of
A tool,
much more of an asset than a liability.
an
Yeah.
asset. There you go. Much more of an asset. Um. So yeah, great, great showing. The conglomerate versus with the Outrunners, the conglomeration rather, Orange Cassidy, Kyle O'Reilly, and the Outrunners, who've been another team that's pretty internet over, against the Dark Order, Alex Reynolds, John Silver, and the premier athletes Aria Davari, Tony Nese. Pass or play.
You know what? I am going to pass the ball on this one.
Yeah, I mean, congratulations to the conglomeration and the Outrunners.
Yeah.
I'm liking the Outrunners, but I'll be honest, because one of the other teams that was down in ROH before them kind of got pushed back due to injury reasons, and they're on a weird story. I kind of like, I feel like the Outrunners just took that place because they got injured, but they do have a great '90s gimmick, and I can't fault them for it. But I'll pass.
Mm-hmm.
Jay White versus Hangman Page. Pass or play.
You know, I'm always passing on Hangman, and we're gonna change it up a little bit here. We're gonna hit the play button on this and see what happens.
I enjoyed this. I enjoyed the pro and con of this is weird for me, but I enjoyed this. They had a great match. They should have a great match. I feel like though I can't really remember it. I feel like Adam Page and Jay White already should have sort of a chemistry of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those matches that came out of nowhere for me but made sense. I'll say the pro is that Jay White seems to be now getting pushed.
Yes, he's finding his footing a lot more.
He's found his way out of the kerfluffle of the Bang Bang Gang being a success, them putting him with the Acclaimed in it not really being a success, and then trying to become serious again. Like they've somehow this somehow feels like he's gotten over it. And
Yeah.
they put on a great match. The con for me is that Hangman Page has now lost again in a feud that didn't seem quite as vital.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I think they got to do that for his character because I feel like he needs like a kind of re-amp or a re-oomph, if you will.
mhm.
The ending of that match I loved when he went for that buckshot and it got countered straight into the the buckshot got countered into the Blade Runner. That finish was nice.
Yeah, great finish. But yeah, that's all I have on it. It's just a great showing for Jay White, and sucks for Hangman Page's character to take a double loss, but I guess it does help his character to be in a rut.
Mm-hmm.
It part of his character just has to be like a trash human being
Yeah.
that's just down on his luck and sour about everything. So I mean, it kind of makes sense for him to lose. Mariah May versus Willow Nightingale for the AEW Women's Championship Pass or Play.
I'm gonna pass this one. As much as it hurts me, I'm gonna pass it.
Interesting. It still lets me know that I don't know if it lets me know it, but it still lets me know that Willow Nightingale is not. It's not all the way there yet. And maybe it's that Mariah May is on such a run, but Willow Nightingale to continuously be having these groundbreaking wins and then be stopped at the championship every time.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. But again, I get the concept of booking.
Mm-hmm.
They did only get 10 minutes.
Yeah, it wasn't very long.
But then again, neither was the next match. Jack Perry versus Shibata for the TNT Championship Pass or Play.
Hit the play button.
Yeah, they had a good match. Shibata was great. Perry was great. I like their gimmick. I like Shibata being Shibata. I think the greatest part about some of these, not all of these, but some of these Japanese legends that come over to AEW is that if they have a really good thing about them, like if they're, I guess I should say gimmick, if their gimmick is great, then usually their gimmicks are in-ring story gimmicks and not like their persona gimmicks, but they play out a lot in the ring. Is the art of Japanese wrestling. Shibata being like one of these invincibly tough guys is great. And the way that they played that with Jack Perry was great. But more so, I think the results of the match outweighed the match that they had. Especially because a lot of people were iffy about the finish. But needless to say, in the results, it led to not one, not two, but three returns, as I believe Daniel Garcia initially comes out. He comes back for Jack Perry. But in the revenge of Jack Perry, MJF returns. He has found his Dynamite Diamond ring. And I think right before he strikes a last blow on Garcia, Adam Cole then comes out. Boom. And great. I think it sets apart Adam Cole and MJF, and then Garcia and Jack Perry. So great way to set up two stories simultaneously.
Yeah, I mean, talk about your two birds, one stone scenario. You get yourself two stories to tell off of one segment, and then you still showcase your Japanese guy that you got to show off. So this whole segment right there kind of like checked all the boxes. It wasn't the greatest match on the card, but it was one of the more beneficial ones because it served a multi-purpose, which, hey, if we can knock out as many things as we can in one foul swoop, we might as well do it.
I applaud the writing staff currently for making, as small as the time slots may be because they're so compiled, finding a way to continuously tell stories now at a consistent rate that all make sense and don't feel completely out of nowhere. Is it a lot of them at the same time? So we end up in spots like this? Yes. But the fact that you were finding a better way to pull it all off, and I'm not going, this makes no sense. And
Yeah,
I can add
it's
it all up is a commendable.
yes. I would say they've gotten a little bit better at using their resources, if you will, for all these people. So kudos to the writing staff for picking up on that.
Next on the list, three-way match for the AEW International Championship. Takeshita, Osprey, Ricochet, passer play.
Hit that play button. Hit that play button.
We got to get a sound effect for that.
Yeah, we gotta hit that.
Absolutely hit play. This was very interesting. Takeshita is the only one out of the three of these guys that's kind of a different style than them. And I do often forget at times that they haven't booked Takeshita bad so much as they've kept him away from anything important.
Mm-hmm.
He was still one of the last guys to beat Omega.
Yeah.
And so I think the right choice here was to let Osprey and Ricochet get wrapped up in themselves and kind of build Takeshita as the bigger, stronger guy that it would kind of take two of them to beat down on. And so it almost felt like yin and yang, like a even balance, that
Mm-hmm.
because of that, Osprey then would get turned on by Fletcher, and they would choose now as the perfect time to ditch Osprey and reap all the benefits by having Takeshita become the new international champion. By the way, I think I'm going to start calling that the IT championship.
Mm-hmm.
It just
because it gets a little.
seems-
It's kind of like a tongue twister because sometimes you mess up and say intercontinental.
you
international,
always naturally want to say intercontinental. So I think I'm
Yeah.
just going to call it the IT and the other one the IC.
Yeah.
Like it feels easier. I think I'm going to start doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely great turn. The fact that they incorporated the Tiger Driver, genius.
Mm-hmm. That a lot of that 450 out of nowhere from Ricochet.
Great. Like they had a multitude of amazing spots. The double catch to Takeshita, amazing. When they do that back handspring out of the ring, and he catches Ricochet, and then Osprey does it for the actual hit.
Yeah.
Amazing spot. They just did a great job, and they got
Yeah.
20 freaking minutes, man.
Yeah, they did good with what they were given, and they sold everything very well. I really don't have any complaints. My only gripe would be I'm tired of hearing Don Callis talk. That's like my only gripe. But yeah, the match itself solid, very good. I have no complaints.
Hologram versus the Beast Mortos.
And this is probably going to be the quickest pass ever. I really haven't had any interest in either one of them. Just not for me.
Congratulations, Hologram. I hear he's 15-0. I know you're great. I'll say that.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not really.
Darby Allin versus Brody King. Pass or play?
See, this is tough, man, because I like Darby, but I'm gonna have to pass.
See, here's the thing. It's not an important match. It was just a match to have Darby on the card, really, because we needed him for later.
Yeah, basically.
But it wasn't. I get the symbolic. Again, the book, the gimmick of the show, rather, which quite clever, is to just make dream matches. Like that's the whole point of the card.
Mm-hmm.
So I get the symbolic nature of having Brody King versus Darby Allin because now Darby's over. Not that he wasn't over before, but now we're booking him like he's over. So Darby needs a good win, and Brody King and him had a classic.
Yeah.
To this day, I remember Brody King beating him by choking him lifeless over the ropes. It
Mm-hmm.
was incredible. So I get the symbolic nature of now Darby winning, and them shaking hands afterwards. But that being said, he was really needed for later in the night. The Young Bucks versus Private Party Pass or Play.
Dude, I hate the Bucks so much, but I mean, we're gonna hit play strictly for Private Party.
Yeah, man. My only thing with this is like they had an amazing match, right? That's cool. They got 15 minutes. That's cool. I saw the highlights. The highlights are amazing. The spots they put together were great. The storytelling they actually were able to incorporate is great. But my bigger gripe is this, and I almost don't even know if it's a gripe. Let me explain. So they had a great rollout for this match. They had a promo package with Private Party and their trainer, Amazing Red, who we all know is amazing, legendary Amazing Red TNA.
Mm-hmm.
Just giving them like an amazing, like, y'all got to get serious. Like, now is the time, and everybody's been wondering where you've been. Like, just kind of like a great call to arms speech. From Amazing Red. They had family out there. They had multiple tag teams in attendance. And it really felt like, as a fan, even though we've been hot and cold on AEW, we've always known Private Party to be legit and just never be in a position to really feel like they could win.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the first time where it really felt like that in years, and they lost. And it kind of feels like the Bucks didn't need the belts to begin with anymore. Like, their
Mm-hmm.
gimmick was over enough. So it caused a big stir online that they didn't get the win. But I almost felt like it was a WWE play, like what they did with Sammy and Roman or Gunther and anybody.
Mm-hmm.
They build them to in a position to where it looks like they should win, and
And
like
then
they
discuss.
they build up every possibility just to have them lose and make the bad guys look worse.
Yeah.
So I didn't know whether to love it or hate it, but I don't know. How do you feel?
I would say, to your point of you didn't know if you should love it or hate it, you should love it if it makes sense,
Mm,
and you hate it when it doesn't make sense.
mm,
This is why I hate it, because it didn't make sense.
mm.
2 and 2 did not make 4 here. 2 and 2 made 37, and that makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, yeah. It was. Uh, why
You you
not, bro?
you
It
you
just felt
you
like
you know it really grinds my gears when I gotta talk to you like you're a little kid about it, because it really doesn't make sense. It doesn't.
like, why did you need the belts? You know what I mean? And I get like maybe that's playing into their character, but
Look, I get it. The job of a heel is to piss people off, and if you're pissing people off, you're doing it the right way. You're pissing me off at least, and it's for all the wrong reasons. Um, yeah, so that's where I'm gonna leave it right there.
mm,
Congratulations to the Bucks for winning again. I guess they're gonna try to be. I don't even know how to describe it. I guess just congratulations for winning again.
I hope the reconciliation is long-term storytelling. And by long-term storytelling, I mean like a month or two. I hope that we can revisit this after a deeper character change with Private Party, maybe. To like really like drop the party gimmick, and like maybe I don't know. I don't know if there's a way to keep that name and be a little more serious, because especially since you're trying not to seem like the Street Profits. Because first the battle was not seeming like the Street Profits. And now that the Street Profits have gotten away from being a little more
Party
uh
centric.
party centric, now it seems like that's what the same arc you're about to go through. So the arc will try to be that but not be that.
Yeah, but
And
I mean, everybody knew Private Party was basically a carbon copy of the Street Profits. But I don't think anybody really cared. The Street Profits really didn't seem to care, and neither did Private Party.
And I
The
think it's
rest,
because the in ring was different.
yeah, like nobody really cared. Sure, they had somewhat of the same gimmick, but they wrestled differently too. Like nobody really cared.
So maybe it'll be easier. I don't know. But I think unless they're having a deeper character arc, it just didn't make sense for them not to win here. But I guess we'll revisit the talk in like a month.
Yeah.
Moving on, Mike Briscoe versus Chris Jericho for the ROH World Championship. Pass or play.
Mark, I love you, man. Jericho, Ocho, free of knowledge, I love you too. We're gonna pass on you, man. This match didn't really hit for me.
I'm just glad Briscoe won, but
Yeah,
I'll pass. That was the big
yeah,
thing, though.
yeah. Nothing, no disrespect to either one of them, but you know, the one good thing I will give, Jericho looked a little bit better than he usually does. So kudos, but still pass.
Yeah, I guess they had to bring it out. The great thing is they had 15 minutes, so it's not like they cut their match short by any chance. And then the main event. No, before the main event, I want to hit play on a promo that happened because Swerve also came back.
Mm-hmm.
Swerve comes back, hometown love, and before we really can get into it, MVP comes out interrupted. Still no music for MVP. MVP
You don't
comes
got the
out
juice yet.
with Shelton Benjamin, and MVP pretty much gives him his pitch. Swerve brings up Defy. Shout out to them. And then he talks about maybe some of Nana's faults and how tempting the offer seems in general. But ultimately decides he doesn't turn on his brothers. And he turns down MVP's offer, tells him to shove it. They almost him and Shelton Benjamin almost get into it. I should speak to all of the credit that Swerve gave Shelton Benjamin.
Yes.
I think that was a great moment for Shelton as well as the topic at hand.
Mm-hmm.
And they're really digging into the Black Champions thing now. I think it's a Swerve thing, so I'm not going to judge it, but I will say it's creating some other false promos out there for other people.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I will say that whole giving Sheldon his flowers segment, like not even just like as a Black champion or as a Black wrestler, just in general.
Yeah.
Somebody has to give that man his flowers while he's still there. So I'm glad Swerve was able to at least do that.
If you can do anything for me, Tony, Jimmy Jacobs, whoever books, though you'll never hear this, put a strap on Shelton before it's over. Even if it's, and don't make it the TNT championship. Like I want him to be the IT champ because that's they're serving that as their Intercontinental Championship, really. So I would love for Shelton to become IT champ before it's all over. Because I don't know how many years he's got left, but at least accomplishing that much will be probably the equivalent to whenever they gave Eddie all his flowers as Triple Crown champ.
You know what?
So I would love that.
We're going to circle back to this at another point in time, the Sheldon thing specifically, because I think I have an idea for how we can give Sheldon his flowers and have it be meaningful with a title.
Yeah.
But we'll circle back to this.
There's definitely another pod we can do on that. So I wanted to just speak to that. Any quick feelings on that, and then we'll obviously press play on the main event.
Basically all I have to say on it is I hope this whole thing with MVP and Sheldon goes right. I think they both deserve it. They both can still, Sheldon can still perform in the ring. MVP not so much ish. He doesn't really perform that much. Maybe lace him up once or twice if he needs to.
Get a couple good ones out of him.
Yeah, like you can make some magic happen with MVP still. But as far as Sheldon goes, hopefully he does well in AEW and whatever other pieces they're adding to this agency, this business, whatever you want to call it, with MVP and Shelton. Hopefully, they all get done right and they all do very well together, because we've seen it work before, more than once.
I'll say this, and I'll leave. I did see a picture earlier of EJ and Swerve. EJ, the judge from MLW, that
Yeah,
recently got signed to AEW,
we've talked about him
and
once or twice.
yeah, very, very, very against the way they initially rolled him out, but I did see a picture of those two with MVP earlier, and I thought to myself, man, if they could do that, that would be amazing. But also, since Swerve's rejected them, if Swerve was to need a little more muscle after Shelton, because another member happens to show up, wouldn't EJ be a great addition to a Swerve combo with potentially Shelton Benjamin and a bald, just larger, equally athletic human being that is also on the free market. So I'll say that.
Quite possibly.
And then we get to Moxley versus Bryan Danielson. Obviously, we have to press play on that. Give me your thoughts on the match, and then we'll talk about the aftermath and how we feel.
Very good match. They did a lot of great stuff here. The Moxley biting Danielson in the back was pretty funny. I guess they're trying to make Mox, well, not even, I guess. They're trying to make Mox like a little more serious, a little more edgy, and, what's more edgy than biting a man in his back, I guess, take a chunk out of him while you can. Match itself was great. I enjoyed it. It was a great showing on both sides. And then, for the aftermath and everything else that was involved, if there was 7 people here and we all had a gun, we would do a 21 gun salute for that ending. But man, that was talk about emotional.
Yeah. I think the whole thing, start to finish. Because they didn't really give you a moment to breathe. Credit to the both of them. Those are, man, Moxley, Seth, Roman. You're never gonna get a better 3 like pillars of wrestling. As far as just able to do what their character is supposed to do to the highest level. Moxley didn't give you a moment to breathe in storytelling. He's got this stone cold style now. But also, like, I guess Japanese hardcore style. He attacks Bryan. They don't even get to the presentation of the championships. And he goes crazy. They have a banger of a match. He ends up choking Danielson out in a crushing defeat after repeated like nasty pile drivers and DDTs and paradigm shifts, and it ended crushingly, and then it just seemed to get worse because after that, they start to beat him down. They then seem to get saved by Darby and Wheeler Yuta, who had previously taken Danielson's side. But then he turns on Darby, and then they rope Darby up and choke the life out of Dan. They murder him again in front of Darby. who at this point has gotten maybe the worst luck ever.
Yeah, just a little bit.
And then the Claudio stomp happens after they clear out security, and then the locker room empties. And this is like the most send-offy of send-offs. It wasn't enough to beat him and have him retire. I had to kill him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kill him off. And the whole face locker room empties, trying to save Bryan until they decide to leave. And Orange Cassidy and Darby and all of the faces are on the outside, just devastated, like Iron Man just died.
Yeah.
And Thanos won, and we have a year to wait for the next movie. Like it looked terrible.
I
Yeah.
want to say, I don't know if this is Bryan's own storytelling or whatever, but this man, he cannot beat the Shield ever. Because look at it this way, right? His last match ever on a Monday Night Raw, Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
And he takes a loss. His last match in WWE on a SmackDown against Roman Reigns takes a loss. Now his last match for AEW against Jon Moxley, and he takes a loss. This man just does not have the Shield's number at all.
At all. At all.
He can't catch a break with these guys.
Jeez, man. That was his Austin the whole time.
Yeah.
It's the Shield. There's three of them.
Can't
He
break
just
through
can't
that
get a
Shield.
win, man. He cannot break the Shield. Yeah, it's crazy for I feel shocked, but I guess I shouldn't. Like, what better way to and in front of Darby, like again, the intimate storytelling, the way they've told two stories at once, because he had beat down Darby to get that shot, and then destroyed Danielson in front of him after he came out to save him.
Yeah.
So the layers of having Darby be the one to have to watch it.
And not even that. I think just in general, like you said, having Darby be there to watch it.
And Darby's the only one. Darby's gonna be the first one, bro. They've created Sting.
Yeah.
They've what if you strap, but what if you like it's gonna seem crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if this is like Marvel DC-ish. This is like, what if you had to make Batman witness his parents' murder? Like, what if you had to be like, make sure the kid sees this. It's good for his arc.
And it just so happens that one of the brothers was there to be the one to actually pull a trigger.
It felt like crazy Marvel storytelling to be like, okay, how do we jumpstart Darby's character into being more of a unique main eventer than he already is? Let's kill Daniel Bryan in front of him and make it his fault.
Yeah.
It was like it was insane.
But I think the whole thing worked out well. You know, having Darby be there, Daniel is one of the people that Darby really respects and idolizes, and he's mentioned that before, so that's a plus. And then, you know, having Daniel have his final match against Moxley, one of his best friends in the business that he respects very much. Okay, there we go. And then we add in, you know, Claudio, another one of his best friends in the business that he happens to love and trust. Okay, we got Claudio in the mix too. Wheeler Yuta, somebody who's been his protege from the jump. We're going to add him in the mix too. It all made perfect sense. It all worked out very well. It was a vengeful murder scene. Pretty sure that's a felony in most states, but still, everything that they did, I enjoyed it. As crazy as it sounds, I don't know if that makes me sound like a psycho to say I enjoyed a potential homicide, but it was nice to see everybody there to be involved in the segment that Bryan kind of respect.
it was good to see landscape changing storytelling. And I'll leave on this because it is a dark match. Let's try and keep it under 45. But I'll leave on this. It is layered storytelling because even under that layer, there was a promo earlier in the night where Orange Cassidy was approached and told that, if he really tried, I think it was Jerry Lynn. He's like, if you really started to give it everything, you could be so much more. And then even Hook comes up and like agrees with him, like, yo, he's right. Like, if you really tapped in, you could be something different. You think about the conglomeration, you think about the chemistry between just Darby, Cassidy, and Hook. Like the young guys, the new wave of, the wrestling industry witnessing Daniel Bryan's murder and like tapping in. Like, you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
it's
you
multiple
probably,
layers of storytelling.
You probably
It's
just
crazy.
created your whole Avengers or Justice League right there.
Yeah, like it's crazy to see them have pulled off such great storytelling now. Because they never would have been able to do something this crazy before.
No.
That made so much sense consistently. So just credit to them. Like, I leave it like it's almost like Ric Flair retiring because he is one of the greatest to ever do it. So it is him getting like his own version of Shawn Michaels giving him the super kick, which I guess is murder. but it'll definitely be, like a night no one will ever forget.
Yeah.
And it definitely makes you want to tune in Wednesday to see what they're going to do now.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, for me, the show, it probably gets the first A that I've wanted to give it in a while. I think even though we passed on some because there was a lot on the card, there's 13 matches.
Yeah.
They had a solid show all throughout. So I'd probably give it an A.
You know what? I think I'm there with you. This was the best show that they've had all year. There was a lot more good than there was bad, and this was definitely a better showing for them than most of their pay-per-views. So I can give them an A. I can give them an A and say it comfortably.
But with that being said, guys, if you made it this far, you might as well like, you might as well subscribe, you might as well hit the link in the bio wherever you're listening to this so you can, follow us on the IGs and the whatevers, because I know you wouldn't want to come back for more. We're obviously not done talking about AEW. We also talk about WWE and some of the other indie stuff, but you'll find that out once you click and like all the stuff. So thanks for listening. This has been the Dark Match WrestleDream. I have been Stevie Jobber.
I've been Dangerous Duke.
Stay up, stay blessed, and Duke, as always, tell them.
Stay dangerous.
Booyah.
People have been asking me to be the best in the world. Why, Eddie, why?